Well, greetings. Here we are on a beautiful, beautiful Saturday. I'm not even at the farm. What is going on with my podcast? I'm now globally, I'm now recording from Laycock Abbey, the birthplace of photography, as we like to say. So it's my escape place with Ellie, but it's all good at the farm. I have a little bit of a break, change of scenery. The animals are chilling out in the shade, getting ready for shearing and haymaking, and it's good to be able to get out and about. Had a great day yesterday with Kirsty and Claire and Lorna. We did a podcast, me and Kirsty, but it was a bit struggling a little bit with the wind, shall we say. So I got to clean that up before I post it. But I hope to get my friends in on the podcast, and obviously even yourself if you're here at the farm one day. But we're all getting ready for sheep shearing, and that will be happening very soon, next week. So I'm going to sort of talk about sheep. How do I get involved with why have I got sheep? I ask myself lots of times when you see them on their backs or getting trapped or just chasing you because you've got a bucket in your hand. But we've got an amazing flock of sheep, which I'm very proud of. Many rescues. Obviously, we've got our own babies, and we cover all that. But I'm just going to have a bit more of a tour around Laycock, and I'll be back at the farm, and I'll see the sheep. I'm looking at the sheep. There's a sheep here, but because it's so hot, they're all in hiding in the shade. You can't blame them. It's really hot. Anyway, we use the magic of technology to me to say, love you more. Let's go back to the farm. Well, that time just gone by. So 1 minute I'm in Laycock, and now I'm back at the farm, and it's nearly 9 o'clock. Yeah, the sheep are here, and look at me longingly, thinking, can we be sheared? And good news. Since my visit to Laycock and coming back, Chris, our shearer, had come back and said he can do it Thursday morning. So that's a big tick in the box, and it's all, yes. It's a bit stressful this time of the year because you don't want the sheep to be healthy, don't want them to get fly strike and get them sheared. It's not as easy as you think because the shearers out around here, they are limited. And of course they go for the bigger flocks because they get more money, and the smaller flocks are left to the end. Because the longer you leave the sheep being sheared, the more likely to have problems. Ours are okay at the moment, so we will make sure they're all good. I've just seen Sirius, my owl, come back out with his food. I'm not sure why he's flown back out. Maybe the female's in there feeding the chicks. So yeah, sheep. Why am I involved with sheep? It was not really on our agenda. It wasn't. We're going to have a few animals, and the idea was initially really to have an educational centre farm with a few animals. But we quickly found out that we had to sort of have some rescue ones here. And in talking of rescues, we've got Bumblebee, who I might dedicate sort of podcast to Bumblebee, because she's had a life and a half, and she's still got many years to go. She's chewing her cud at the moment, and she's thinking, maybe no more babies for Bumblebee. But it started many years ago. Now, when I was quite young, I'm not sure how young. I said, mental note was not made, but I was very young, and Dad got me a little lamb. And I think it was for me. I think it was for my sister, my brother. And I call it Bambi. So I must have been quite young, because I'd probably just seen Bambi at the cinema and inspired to call it Bambi. But Bambi was nice, and we had it tethered. I remember Dad made me put a collar on it and tether it out. And I fed this little lamb, and it became a sheep. And I thought, and it was lovely, because you hand feed it. And that reason can be because it's an orphan, or the mother can't produce enough milk or has been rejected. And I'm not sure why Dad got it. Well, I think I did. So that was my first experience. I fed it, and I didn't really know much more about the care of it. I didn't really have to, really, because there was no problems with it. And I had no experience of sheep. But I think it's in my blood, if that's possible, because on my Franklin side, on my granddad's side, my great-granddad was a shepherd, and his granddad was a shepherd, and they used to be shepherds locally in Old Cannings, along by Cannings Cross. I always remember being told about a great uncle of mine, and he was about 6'6" tall. No, I'm 6 foot, but the family wouldn't say are really extra big. And they always remember him because a shepherd would go up with his sheep at lambing time and just stay there until all the lambs had been born. And the place was called Tan Hill. And in the stories had it, or the passed down, that he was a real strong, and he would go up there with a barrel of cider, a knife and a dog and some string, and that was it. And that's all he needed. And he would sort of look after himself. And I think, sadly, if there was a dead lamb, it would go to the dog, and he would eat it as well. It was different times, but he used to go up there, obviously, for a couple of weeks, come down with a bit more of a beard, a bit mucky, but happy that all the sheep were good. And once the sheep have lambed and you know they're going to be okay, then you can leave them. We don't have too many predators in this country. A fox could go for a little lamb, but that's unlikely. Our biggest problem in this country, in England, is people's dogs. People take dogs for walk around sheep, and as much as you love your dog, you should keep it on the lead if you're around sheep, because instinctively a dog will chase, and that can make you abort. It could obviously cause stress, and on occasions it can kill. And I've experienced it here when we had Sirius is back, just got another chick. He's in the barn, he's going round, he's going to go whoosh. He's back on back to take the chick to his mum. I suppose in some ways I should have a camera on this, because there's so much going on, and my concentration does vary. There's been a couple of instances where dogs have come in. There was a Rottweiler who was part of someone next door in their farm was putting some solar panels, and this Rottweiler, not only did it kill my Cuthbert the goose, we weren't going to go into that because it's another story, it killed a couple of lambs of mine. Well, not of mine, of a farmer. And that sort of takes me back, so I had a sheep and I was proud of it. And I came out one morning, it was gone. And I sort of looked, where's my sheep gone? And my dad said, it's time. So you can probably guess where it went. And that really, for me, was devastating. It's farm life, I understand, but I would never have taken to it or brought it up thinking that his life is forever. Home was not a forever home. If it was a short forever home. But that was farming, that was my dad. And I didn't really bother with sheep again. I didn't really have the land, and Dad wouldn't have any, and I wouldn't have taken any on just to rear them for food, for the freezer. But as we started the project many years ago, 11 years ago, we had 70 acres of land, and we didn't have too much. We had a few bees. There goes Sirius is going back in the game with his food. And so we had 70 acres, and very few animals, a few geese, a few chickens, but we didn't have any cattle. I did think about renting that out. And my brother said, I know someone. I won't mention his name, but just call him Roy, full name, who likes to rent land. I thought that would be good. What could go wrong? So he turned up with probably about 100 sheep. And that was, wow, being not someone who's been used to sheep, a shepherd, it was a wow sight. And I thought, it's lovely to look at. And of course, the lambing started. And I quickly learned that this person was not probably the best of shepherds. He had sheep everywhere. And of course, when you start lambing, you can't be everywhere. If you've got to drive sort of 40 minutes to your next flock, if you've got problems with one, so there was problems, shall we say. And there was a lot of problems. But I think because I sort of dealt with cattle and birth, I was quite okay helping. If there was a ewe having problems, then I could help. And there was a lot of problems, and I just thought that was natural. Little did I know that the sheep he had were not the best of quality. Now, we don't really have much problem here of lambing. We had one this year, obviously you might remember Claire with a sheep called Midnight. But in general, it's been good, Early days, I know Caroline had to help with a few. But we got a flock now which is very healthy. It don't need all this treatment that was constantly with this Roy's. And it's sort of thought, how can you cope? And you go out there's a problem, and you can deal with it, and a lamb might be dead, or sheep are limping. And it was a bad bunch, and I think he bought the cheapest ones, and he was playing a percentage game, thinking, well, enough will survive. So it took on to me to learn, and I'm a very quick to learn when it comes to animals. It's instinctive. You don't need to be fully qualified in some sort of sheep handling course. You learn by watching, by listening. And I learned from Roy, and I learned how to do it properly, because it's instinctively. So the sheep were there, and I remember, I suppose a really turning point was we had the sheep in the 17 acres, and I went down checking, because he didn't have time to come and check. So I could feed back to him and help where I could. And there was a ewe down there that had twins. And the first one came out, and I watched. The second one came out, but the second one was quite weak, a bit like our squirrel that we just recently had, a bit weaker. Obviously, one of the twins took all the nourishment. So I contacted Roy and said, look, there's a ewe down there with a lamb, but the lamb is not 100%. He said, I'll leave it, it'll be okay. Would you leave it? No. Would I leave it? No. So it was very much a sort of, okay. I went down there late in the afternoon. The mother had gone and walked away and left this little lamb. So I contacted him again. He said, I'll leave it, it'll be okay. I can't come over. He said, a fox will get it. I think, no. So in the evening, I went down to pick up this little baby lamb, because I wasn't going to leave it at night to die or be taken by a fox. So I brought it back into the house and didn't tell my wife. She's in bed. And I put it in a kitchen, in a box, which was quite warm. And I made up a sort of food. I didn't have what you need, like colostrum, which they desperately need for the immune system. But I used egg white and all sorts of things to make something that would give it some nourishment. Obviously milk was included. And then obviously I could the next day go and get some replacement milk. But I didn't think the little one would survive, because it was so weak. To my amazement, I come down in the morning and wow, what a mess in my kitchen. Lucky enough I get up before Ellie. The little lamb had got out of the box and was skidding around and decorating it with his poo, and come bouncing over to me for some more food. So I cleaned up the kitchen a bit quick, put the box, took the lamb up into our dairy and got a heat lamp. And this little lamb was all looking at me, and obviously it was doing well. And I went up to the local, I think it was Scats at the time, and and got some replacement milk. Scats, you can buy all the animal feed there. And so, what to call it? No. One of the things when I was younger, everything that was a baby, I would call it a diddy dot. So if it was a little kitten, it's a diddy dot. If it's a little chick, it's a diddy dot. So I thought it was quite appropriate to call this little lamb, not diddy dot, but Dot, the first one. The first of the diddy dots. And so Dottie and me became, really good friends. Extremely good friends. And she taught me a lot. She did become ill, and I had to end up with quite a hefty vet bill, because she didn't have her mother's milk. Her immune system was not good. But I got her through it. I was not going to let her go. And I remember putting her in. I used to make little pens out of straw bales then. We didn't have any gates or anything then. So put little there. We had another little lamb called Minty. He was a boy. So I had a company. And Dottie got better. And Dottie would follow me around just like a dog. Probably better than a dog. And I got some lovely videos and photographs of me going out in the field and calling, Dottie! And Dottie would just pounce on all four legs, come all the joys of the world. So that was my sort of introduction to sheep. But I had to learn about, Roy used to get all the sheep in and do their hooves, put them through like a foot bath. It's like formaldehyde, which is, I think you preserve things in. And we don't do it here because our sheep very rarely have problems with their feet. If they do, then Claire and myself and the team will give them a little trim. They don't constantly need work like, dare I say, Roy's did. And I remember one time he had 100 or so sheep across the road from us in another farm. And he was going to get them in and sort of spray them, clip them, do all the things you do. So I thought I'd go over and volunteer. It was a whole day's work. He had a special holding pen and race sorted. So, I learned a lot. I also learned that never take a sweet from a man who's been messing around with sheep, because we worked hard all day, and I did it because I wanted to. He was never going to pay me. He's not that sort. He sort of, and I probably, by the end of it, was better at handling the sheep than he was or probably ever would be. And at the end of it, it's getting late, 8:30 at night, getting dark. And I said, so Roy, what do I get? Oh, well, you've got a lot of knowledge. And he gave me a sweet. Of course, he's been messing around with you. I put it in my mouth. And then for a few days afterwards, I was not in a very good way. I spent a lot of time on the toilet, should we say. and realised that, yes, and my word of advice, and especially to sheep like that, never touch them, well, never touch your mouth with them. Some people I've known kiss a sheep. No. You can pick up things, keep your hands washed, wear gloves if you can, but just be wary. Now, ours are okay, we've never had any problems here, but again, we don't go around kissing a sheep or, so we say, not being hygienic. So he said to me, he gave me a sweet, and he gave me a lamb, which was a Minty, an orphan lamb, which meant more work, more money for myself. But it really sort of got me into it, and bit by bit, we had a few more rescues come in, and we built a little flock. And eventually, we had to say goodbye to him. I will tell you that story because it's just so strange that you help someone and then they turn against you, forgetting that they had free use of the farm and free labour. But anyway, that was another story, and it was good that I have the spirit of my dad inside me. So it's one of those things, as a farmer, don't upset a farmer, especially someone who should we say, been taken advantage of. it's all about working together. I'll help anybody, and they know that. But some people in life will forever take and never give. I love my sheep. You've seen my bumblebee, which will be a completely separate podcast because it's such a story there. In my Dottie, I suppose I could do a lot of stories about Dottie. Just an amazing sheep, it kept me going in the first few years, and that really got me into rescuing and realising about imprinting, because this sheep never left my side. And every year, it was bad breeding, but she always had difficult lambing. Always had a boy, a single one. And at one time, Caroline had to help with it. It was so difficult. The lambs were so big. Everything was wrong about the sheep for the breeding sense, but sometimes farmers breed sheep to give big lambs so they make more money, but we're not into that. Our sheep have a forever home. I think I'll tell you the story about one lambing with Dottie, but that'll be another time, because I see time just goes by so quick. But I'll finish that off tomorrow with Dottie, and a sad ending. No animal has a forever home. A forever home can be, as we just recently worked out, it could be a week, but hopefully most sheep will live to 8 to 12 to 13 years. But that's for another day. You can hear the sheep in the background. I got my owl Sirius waiting for some food. I need to go and have a shower and a drink, and thank you for listening to my podcasts. I do realise there could be rather a lot of these. My intention is to do 365 a whole year, because I think there's a lot of information there which would be nice to pass down to my grandchildren, to other people. Maybe one day we'll get them turned into stories you could read about them as well. It's been quite an adventure, and sheep is just a small part of my life. So many stories. Anyway, if you'd like to come and join me for a drink, that'd be very nice. I will hopefully get the Kirsty podcast for myself put out soon. There's a bit of we recorded one yesterday, but it was a bit windy, so I'm going to have to sort of just tweak that a little bit. But it was lovely chatting to Kirsty. And it's lovely chatting to you. Thank you for listening. For me, and